The real story of this video is marketing different than promoting. You've got to first have the marketing before it gets promoted. With the production team, that's all they do. And homeostasis, there's tones of that. There's tones of selling a half-life. If you can get into the nitpicks of micromanagement, one way in doing this is by combining biology and technology. I have a few ideas and enjoy these as one. Just like Halle Berry, you've got vendors where they give themselves t-shirts on the internet. You'd see like pictures of a person and then a quote next to them. And so it's promoting them, even if they didn't say the quote. It's just like on TV when someone has an X post. They started it with presidents having X posts on the news. I thought, this is so stupid, a post on TV. And now I understand it's just filler. You've got Travis Scott weighing in on a college females basketball game. Oh, that's edgy. But no, that's just filler. But how to profit off filler? I know there's things called NFTs, and I'm still not hip to that yet, but I'm guessing one and the same thing where you get money off like what a signature is in autograph sales. But in selling posters, this is what Chuck Norris, his agents did so well. When they say that it's like a joke, how Chuck Norris had a whole line of jokes, and so just talking about him really upped the ante with his sales. When he had shirts at Walmart that had a round-off kick, people were into that because they thought it was hip. With Arnold Schwarzenegger, they've got like these posters, and so it's the same thing where they got the words and then they got him working out, him in his heyday. And so this is like, you buy the poster and the quote, it makes him look like an intellect because it is an intellectual quote. Getting this whole AI, because in nature, I think it's like Mother Nature's like AI at its origin, because opposites attract, and nature's asymmetrical and AI is like symmetric at its nature because it has all these answers like so easily, right? It knows networking. So yeah, and indoctrinating computers with flowers, that would be something. Another thing would be when there's like these cards, if like a card sticks to an LCD screen, it's because it has a little bit of perspiration, wetness, and so it doubles as an adhesive, even though it isn't. And it's stuff like this that there's a name for it. If someone in the field of fluid dynamics could name it right off the top of their head. These other people in like a field of photo processes, they just like measure light emitting off stuff, and this is the job that they have for their duration over their life on Earth. And yeah, it's always like mind-boggling whenever a judge is getting explained the specs of like, I saw it on a voting machine, and so all this stuff is over the top of the judge's head because it's beyond their pay grade, but they're just pretending like they know any of the nomenclature that the computer guru is explaining in court. So, and then yeah, but no, a judge should know every single name of every offense in a law book. All of the law books. Because they pretend like they do, and you have to stand when they enter the room. Please stand, and then you call them like your honor, and it's like in America you scoff at royalty, and I see where this is going. We just hired more lawyers in the last 20 years than in the entire history of lawyers in the United States. we've just accumulated 80,000 IRS workers, and this is all from lawful interaction. So the more that there's less interaction with going out and like buying stuff, consumerism's done over like apps. These apps are a crapshoot, folks, and the more that you can make computers or devices where you do the processing with it, that's more a ecosystem that's healthy, as opposed to just Windows and Apple running gamut on everyone because their stuff is made in overseas. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Chuck Norris, these people are ones that are icons in pop culture, and so that they get sales on. I was calling it e-begging the other day with this whole venue of places and mostly just apps, and it's why I don't like apps. But nonetheless, it's like vendors in real life. And so when you've got a pop icon, the name of it. I lived next to someone who had Halle Berry. Halle Berry has an entire team around her, and everyone makes money as long as they promote her. And so with what agents are, they promote stuff. And so you can have like 1,000 agents if you're Arnold Schwarzenegger. And what they do is vendors, they give out like little samples of stuff. You go to Costco and there's like vendors who hand out samples of free samples of stuff. I'm going to touch on that in a minute. Dead weight and free weight. And the difference of these two is so simplistic that it could just be a default of something not having grease and making more friction so that it gets torque. And so when it gets torque, it falls in the category of muscle memory and it's acquired. But back to Chuck Norris and Arnold Schwarzenegger, these pop icons describe how to travel light, but if you use a towel last for the things that are least important, like your hair, you can step on your shirt to makeshift it as a towel. And whether you be at a country club or a hotel, if you've got just one towel left in the pool room, that's the way you go about it, because no one likes wet feet, and this rain has got me at odds. That aside, and I'm not, this isn't filler. These are all dynamics of what people in Area 51 working on an alien engine in a private location, they're confident at that. So when I'm like explaining something that seems whimsical, it's not. It's dynamics that I just explained with dead weight are timeless. But no, when people get older, they shrink. So when I see light emitting off of my shin, and my shin is like beveled like a vein, though it's straight. I thought I had straight shins like blades, but no, I was kind of grossing to see. And so I'm just trying to associate my like shins with like the Volpor sword. The one in Alice Wonderland, Tim Burton, that had like a sword with these emblems at the stake of it. So if you shoved the sword in, all these emblems would perforate and make you bleed out quicker. They do that, and then they do, that's with the holes at the ends of swords. It's so that it makes kind of like free weight or dead weight. Or Vsauce when he has a hot dog next to a cold one and then a hot one and then a cold one. You put your hand on that, it's more stimulating and it's going to have more painful effect than if you just had a whole bunch of hot dogs. That, and then how waterboarding too. It's like this thing of when you're drowning but you're not underwater. These types of things with what swords have when they're beveled or vacant, when they've gone through and they have stuff towards the handle. Check, going through a checklist. And oh yeah, animals. These kids, they've got this ramen noodle hair, and It's called a pompadour. When you got the front of your hair and it's poofy, this one kid had like an perm and it was poofy at the front. It reminds me of like a robin. I saw a robin one time. It was like an alpha robin, and it was like chirping at me really hard because I was like taking out trash, but I was close to his nest. He put his nest above the trash, so he thought I was like always attacking it. So he was like ready to like do or die like over me. So like he had like this giant forehead. I'll never forget it. It was the ugliest thing. You see some ugly things on animals. This is one of them. And so ever since I saw that robin, it was like a patriarch robin. It had like this giant forehead ready to go to battle. I don't know how birds have foreheads, but thing was so massive. And whenever I see these boys with like this ramen noodle hair and it's like puffy at the front, I'm like, oh, that's oddly similar to this one robin that was OP. So if there was like a flower and then you added a special thing in it and its petals hardened and then you assembled it into a computer as a SSD, this is something that spins and you hear it crunching. All the people into the computer field, they love that crunching noise of the olden computers. So this would be right up the alley of one. And it's just like this whole origin of having AI come into play. And so in computers, it's big. But really, it's, I see like in flowers, its origin, it'd be AI written all over it. So if you can make, and there's these certain things in culinary where they're natural, but they're synthesized in its most natural form. One of them, for example, is like this ingredient you add to anything and it makes it so it doesn't burn. So you put this ingredient into ice cream and you can cook your ice cream and you'll bake it above 100 degrees and it'll harden and be hot ice cream. So there's that. And if you add like the stuff to a flower, I know flowers take in stuff. You add food coloring to a flower in a vase and its petals turn the color of the food coloring. So you add in like the special processed ingredient and its petals would harden. Using that, because the flower already looks like a gear, as a SSD, this thing that spins inside a computer. And then now you're like,